It's here. Hey guys, welcome to Nandan Talks Tech. I'm Nandan and I'm really excited because my new iPhone just got here. Alright, so here we are. It's a pretty big box in which they've shipped this thing, which is quite odd because they went on and on and on about how tiny the new iPhone boxes are, but it's mostly just bubble wrap. But better too much bubble wrap than none at all. And yes, I got the blue iPhone 12, 128 gigs. Okay, I like this blue. I like this blue a lot. This feels premium. Definitely it feels premium. Yes, the glass is gonna get fingerprints on the back because it's not matte finish. But the aluminium is matte finish. And so it seems to be holding up to fingerprints quite well so far. I love new iPhone day. And in the box we have a lightning to USB-C cable. USB-A is dead, long live USB-C. Standard regulatory paperwork and a single Apple sticker. Just gonna pack this up. I like how light this is, and I like the way it fits in my hand. I am so tired of using a Max phone for the last 1 year. Oops, almost dropped it, but I didn't. And I'm gonna set it up and be right back. Okay, so I finished a basic setup, and while I haven't installed the SIM card yet, I will do that shortly. In the meantime, the phone seems as responsive as expected. I love the design. I love that the glass extends all the way out to the edge and then stops exactly at the aluminium frame. The display is bright enough, I think. And I love this blue. I really love this blue. I don't think you can see it in the camera right now, but I love this blue. I was expecting it to be much brighter and much more pop in the blue, but I really like it. I really like the color it is now. And I'm going to do some more tests, install my SIM card, set up my apps, and see how it feels in a week. This glass back is definitely a fingerprint magnet. It's very shiny and it needs a case. And I have the perfect case for it. As you have seen, we opened it in the last video, the Magsafe case. And oh my god, even with the Magsafe case on, this thing is lighter than my current phone, which I love. I know that means a sacrifice in battery life, because this is a smaller phone and it's a smaller display, and there's less space for the battery behind that display. But if it means having to carry such a light phone, I'm all for it. iPhones usually come with about 80 to 85% of battery life in them already, but we know we have to check out the Magsafe Charger unboxed in the last video. Now the Magsafe Charger has an NFC chip in the back, and that is how it determines that it's a Magsafe Charger connected. It gives you the little animation and it charges it up to 15 watts wireless. So I have been using the iPhone 12 for just over a week now, and I really love the shape of this thing. It's really easy to grip, and the flat edges make it really easy to pick up off the table. And the back is clear glass, not frosted, which means that it is more likely to scratch but also easier to grip and less likely to slip out of the hand. In the iPhone 11 Pros, the glass on the front and the back leaves the flat surface in a curve to meet the stainless steel chassis on the side, which isn't as deep as the whole phone. This means that the glass is exposed on not just the flat side but also on the four corners, and what this means is that it is more exposed and likely to shatter. Now with the iPhone 12 series, because the stainless steel chassis encompasses the entire glass, and they've improved the strength of the front glass, calling it ceramic shield by infusing nano ceramic crystals. Apple's claiming that the front glass is 4 times more drop resistant and it's less likely to shatter, but it is just as likely to scratch. So if you were using a screen protector before, I would recommend you continue to do so now. The silicone case is very grippy and less likely to fall out of a coat pocket, which is how I lost my first iPhone 4 back in London nearly 10 years ago. But fortunately I got it back at that time. And because it attaches magnetically, it's not exactly easy to remove on a daily basis, but it's not very difficult either. The silicone case also has an NFC chip inside that interacts with the one in the iPhone and tells it what color case you've put on. This scratchable display is OLED, which Apple calls Super Retina XDR. Its brightness is limited to 625 nits when not viewing or recording HDR content, where it can go up to 1200 nits of peak brightness. While it's lower than the 800 nits on the Pro models, it's not really an issue unless you're viewing it directly in sunlight, when it's best viewed without sunglasses. If you're coming from an LCD phone like the iPhone 11, the XR, the 8 or lower, the OLED is going to be a significant upgrade with beautiful colors, true blacks and excellent contrast, especially when indoors. Behind the displays is the A14 Bionic chip, which is about 20% faster than last year's A13 Bionic chip. And while there wasn't a lot the last year's iPhone 11 Pros couldn't really do, all the major advancements this year are in computational photography and videography. The iPhone 12 includes a main camera with 26mm focal length and a faster f1.6 aperture with a 7-element lens, and this translates to a 27% increase in low light photos and videos from last year, and an ultra-wide angle camera with an f2.4 aperture, a 5-element lens and 13mm focal length in the rear, and a front-facing 12-megapixel camera that is also used for Face ID. All three of these cameras now support night mode, with night mode portraits limited to the front-facing camera, which is enabled by the True Depth sensor. In between night mode and regular photos lies Deep Fusion. Deep Fusion comes in just above the night mode in medium to low light, and it creates beautiful photos using artificial intelligence to fill in the gaps. HDR video recording or high dynamic range is the biggest improvement to the camera systems this year. The availability of color in displays forced the manufacturers to standardize the format back in 1996 with the sRGB, standard red, green and blue, covering a fraction of what the human eye can discern, but widely available in almost all TVs and displays made over the last 2 decades. HDR expands that range of available color to be displayed significantly. HDR practically starts with HDR10, the basic standard. If some display claims to have HDR but doesn't mention what kind, you can be sure that it's HDR10. Then on top of this is built HDR10 Plus by Samsung, which is an open standard, HDR HLG, and finally there's Dolby Vision, which is dynamic and not static unlike HDR10. Dolby Vision covers the largest part of the spectrum visible to the human eye, all while providing actual HDR accuracy, corrected scene by scene, frame by frame. This is known as dynamic HDR. Adding HDR to a video means adding increased color depth and increased contrast in shadows and light. The biggest advantage of HDR is better color accuracy closer to real life. Adding more color information means an increased file size, although the file sizes aren't that great, but it means you need more storage to save these files and a processor capable of handling all of this data. I tried editing a couple of HDR clips on my 2018 MacBook Pro, but the exposure was all blown out and it was even difficult to look at. As of right now, YouTube only supports HLG HDR, but not Dolby Vision, and none of the other social media platforms even support that. But now that Apple has put Dolby Vision cameras in the hands of millions, I'm sure all of that is bound to change. Apple's devices have supported Dolby Vision since at least 2018 with the iPad Pro's LCD display and the iPhone X's OLED display. But now with the new A14 chip, the cameras on the iPhone 12 and 12 Pros can record Dolby Vision as well. Recording is limited to 4K resolution at 30 frames per second on the iPhone 12 and 60 frames per second on the iPhone 12 Pro and Pro Max. And this difference is, I suspect, due to the larger RAM capacity in the iPhone 12 Pros. More RAM means more battery drain, and so we segue into the iPhone battery. It lasts 12 hours screen on time easily. The more you use the camera or the screen, the faster the battery will drain. The one advantage of having a slightly smaller battery is that it also charges faster. The whole iPhone 12 series is equipped with identical 5G antennas, and they mentioned 5G at least 60 times during the keynote presentation. But there's no 5G in India as of now. Even the auction of spectrum is at least 2 months away. So we'll talk about it if and when it gets here. The entire iPhone 12 series is water resistant to a depth of 6 meters up to 30 minutes. And while I wouldn't go swimming with it, you can certainly wash it under a tap with soap and water if you need to. The iPhone 12 mini has the exact same feature set of the iPhone 12, but because it's in a smaller body, it has a slightly smaller display, which might be better for smaller hands. But it also compromises a little bit on the battery life. When compared to the iPhone 12, the iPhone 12 Pro adds a telephoto lens, the LiDAR scanner in the rear, and 60 frames per second of HDR 4K recording. The iPhone 12 Pro also includes a stainless steel body with frosted glass in the back. And the iPhone 12 Pro Max includes the largest body, the largest battery life, the largest screen, and the best camera available. So if you're looking for any one of those must-haves, then the iPhone 12 Pro Max is for you. On the other hand, there is very little difference between the 12 and the 12 Pro, mostly being limited to the outside design and the extra lens and the LiDAR sensor. That's it for today. I would love to know what you think of the iPhone 12 lineup, and if you're getting one or have already gotten one. Please do let me know in the comments down below. And until next time, remember to keep your nose covered when stepping out and about. Bye.